Hey everybody, you guys are in for a special treat today. I know sometimes you have those questions like, can I come up to the Boise area and rent first and then buy later? And then how do I go about finding a place to rent? Or if I want to come up there and buy a rental and be a landlord, what do I need to know? Well, today we're going to talk with Jay and he's going to answer all our questions. Stick around. Hey everybody, Dave Andrus, Treasure Valley Dave here. You know you're a great real estate agent by your side when it comes time to buy a home, sell a home, or relocate to the Treasure Valley, or to buy a rental house and become a landlord. Sometimes that happens too. So we're going to ask Jay some questions about just those things. Jay, how you doing?
Doing good, Dave. How you doing today?
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Wow, so Jay and I, we've been friends for quite a while, and he also property manages my rental. And that comes out to be very handy because I just sit back and wait for the money to show up in the bank account, and he has all the headaches.
That's right.
It's a pretty sweet deal. So we're going to talk about owning a rental first, and then we're going to get into how you come up here and don't get scammed when looking for a rental. So stick around for that part. Jay, so if I'm already up here in the Treasure Valley, or if I'm thinking about relocating my money up here because having a rental in California is very, very challenging, but I'm not up here or I don't have any savvy on, how to go about owning a rental. What would you suggest someone do?
I suggest that somebody would talk to a professional property manager, get some good recommendation referrals, and have a good consultation with them so they can lay out to you the pitfalls, what the things to look out for. For example, people coming into Idaho might not realize that there's a homeowner's property tax exemption. So when they're looking at the property taxes of a property for sale, if the homeowner's living in it, they're getting a break on their tax exemption, on their homeowner's taxes. So whenever they buy it as a rental and that person moves away, that exemption does fall off, and then you are not aware that your taxes are going to go up a lot on your property.
And that could change you from a positive cash flow to a negative on a monthly basis.
And it's always easier to hold on to an asset that's cash flowing and not costing you money every month.
So if I am in the market to buy a house to turn into a rental, are all houses the same? Well, can I rent them all out, or is there a particular kind of house or location that I should be looking for to maximize my returns?
There's always different deals out there. You want to make sure you get a good deal. You could get, it depends on the deal, if it's going to be a investment for you. It also depends on your investment strategy and style and what you're trying to get out of it. You're trying to go for cash flow, trying to go for appreciation, just going for tax sheltering. There's different deals that are better for different investors that are looking for different things. The best way to do that is when you connect with Dave, he'll send me rentals you're considering, potential properties, and I'll do a rental analysis and send them back really quick so you guys can make that decision to pull the trigger or move on to the next one.
And that's going to tell them about what they could expect to get for rents.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. Well, that is very handy. So I'm up here or I'm thinking about bringing my money up here to buy that rental house. But there's so much that I don't know. I've never done this before. What kind of things, let's say I'm going to do it myself because, that's how mom and dad did it. So what are some of the things I should watch out for?
Definitely some of the things you want to watch out for is you want to make sure you screen your applicants. A lot of times people who are trying to manage themselves, people who know they won't get qualified through normal standards, they avoid property management companies. So they try to find people on Craigslist that looks like they're doing it themselves. And they also try to talk with them in person, and they'll try to give them a sob story and see if you can get them to rent it to you. And maybe your house has been on the market for a couple of weeks and you're starting to get kind of antsy to get someone in there, but it's still not worth making that mistake of letting the wrong person in because they can cause way more damage to the home than what you're going to make in that time period.
And if that does come to pass and you need to evict them, and it's just me, what do I have to learn the whole court system and everything?
I wouldn't say you need to learn the whole court system yourself. Typically, if it comes to an eviction, you'll probably want to get connected with a good attorney that can do flat fee eviction. And you just do the 3-day notice to pay or quit. And on the 4th day, you just send it on to the attorney and let them take care of it.
So just kind of on a side subject there, to evict somebody, do you know how that compares to the process in California?
I'm not intimately familiar with the process of California, but from everyone I've talked to, we have it much better here. Typically, there's two types of eviction. One is standard eviction, which is about people not leaving they're supposed to, lease violations. The other one is expedited eviction. Most people are familiar with that one because it's about non-payment. Both of them run about 30 days from start to finish. here in Idaho, I've heard nightmare stories of other states, especially California, where they can have somebody in their house for over 6 months without paying rent, and the owner has no recourse to get it fixed.
And the owner's still making his mortgage payment.
That's correct. You're still on the hook for your financial obligations.
So it sounds like an investor might be wise to consider hiring a property management company. And how would an investor go about finding one?
I would definitely say so. If you could pay somebody 10% to do 90% of the work, I think that would be a good investment. Check your Google reviews to ask your local realtor. A lot of realtors don't do property management here in our area. So just, get some good reviews and fill them out. One thing to be careful of is a lot of companies will always answer the phone until you sign the contract, and they might be hard to get a hold of after that. So just look out for that, and make sure you get somebody who has good insurance, and ask them all the questions you want up front, then see what their knowledge is.
Like I mentioned, Jay does property management for my rental. I'm sure there's different levels of service that you have, but he does full service for me. He gets the tenants in there, he screens them, he collects the rents. Between tenants, he makes sure that the house gets cleaned up. What else do you do for me?
Yeah, so we also take over all your accounting. So in January, we're going to make sure you get your 1099 showing your income, your cash flow statement showing all your expenses. So you can just send those on to your accountant, and you're good to go on your taxes. We make sure all the utilities are managed. We also make sure, if there's any HOA violations, we just stay on top of the tenant. We have a pretty rigorous inspection cycle to make sure the property is being kept up. And a lot of tenants actually like that, because then they know that they know how to get a hold of us if they've got an issue, and we can get it resolved for them.
So what if I just need you to do a screening, and then I'll take care of everything else?
So we do offer a tenant placement service where we do everything that we do in our full service package up until the point 3 days after the tenant moves in. If there's somebody who wants to manage it themselves, but they just don't have the right platform or tools to do the marketing and the screening, we do offer that for us to get a tenant in for you. And 3 days after they're moved in and their move-in checklist is turned in, we turn it all back over to you. And hopefully they stay for quite a few years. And then whenever it's time for you to get a new tenant, you just contact us and let us know those guys are leaving, and we'll turn the marketing back on again.
Awesome. That's really nice. So speaking of tenants, what if I'm in California or someplace else and I want to come up to the Treasure Valley, but I want to rent for a while? Maybe I need to get my credit score up, or maybe I just want to see what part of the area I want to live in. How do I go about finding a rental?
Yeah, so I know for us, we have our website with our rentals on it, 208housespm.com/availability.
Links in the description.
Thank you. Now, I will say Zillow does have the most compiled list of rentals, because even people do it themselves, so at least put it on Zillow, so you might find more available options there. But you also need to be careful of scammers. Our market is the #2 market for rental scams in the United States. So just be very cautious. Some red flags are they don't meet you at the property, that you can't get them on the phone. They want you to pay, the price is too good to be true. They want you to pay through Venmo or Zelle, some kind of deposit. So just be really cautious out there.
But do you guys charge like an application fee up front? And how would that look different from a scammer?
So we do charge an application fee. It's $50 across the board. That just covers our cost of screening for criminal history, credit, and we have to verify references. That does take time. So I would say being able to get somebody on the phone is the #1 way to tell if you're dealing with a scammer or not.
Okay.
Some scammers a lot of realtor property managers are using self-showing systems, and scammers are figuring out how to get the code from the company's system. So they give it to an unsuspecting person, and then they think they're dealing with the right person because they were able to get access to the house, but they never get them on the phone. So, just have your feelers out there and make sure you can at least talk to somebody. And if you feel really uncomfortable, say, I really feel comfortable if we meet in person, and a legitimate property management company will make accommodations to make sure you can meet with somebody in person in the area.
Awesome. So just because it's on Zillow or Craigslist or someplace else, do you put your listings on Zillow and Craigslist?
Yes. Our listings do go out to all the websites you can think of automatically, except for Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. But we do post those manually. Our system will post those manually.
Okay.
But it'll have our contact information on there. And sometimes the biggest indicator is if the price seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Gotcha. And how do you know what prices should be up here? Because if you've never lived here, $1,000 a month might be a great deal, or it might seem like really expensive.
Yeah, that's true. I guess you're going to get a feel really quick. So just kind of look at the other listings and kind of be like, well, this place is going for 1,000, and it's better than this other place going for 1,500. It doesn't make any sense. And just kind of look and see all the places, and you kind of get a feel. Or you can always call your local realtor and say, hey, can you let me know if this looks like a scam or if this is something I can go check out.
Right. One thing that Maureen and I do for our clients that are coming up here to rent is if they identify a rental and they've talked with the person, the property manager, the owner, what we will do for them is we'll take our camera and we'll go look, video the outside of the house and then the neighborhood, so that our future client will get a real good idea of the area that they're living in. So I don't know if that helps to reduce scams or not, but
yeah, that could help. I know for our properties, when we do have them in a perfect condition, we get our photos in a 3D tour. We do a 3D tour of the property so the client can, the potential tenant can actually walk the property virtually if they're not here. Right. But those are also things that scammers can get a hold of too with our marketing that goes out there. So I think just, make sure that you can get somebody on the phone is probably your biggest protection.
Dang scammers.
Yeah. Yeah, so just see if you can get somebody on the phone and fill them out and make sure you're talking to someone who actually has some kind of control of the property.
So Jay, what kind of questions do people give you and your team when they're looking to rent a place or to have property management done?
So when we're looking to rent a place, sometimes about pets, I know our system shows if pets are allowed or not in our pet policy. Some other questions that might come up are if they're looking for, all of our rentals are marketed for a 12-month term. Sometimes they might be looking for a 3-month or a 6-month. Now, just because it's marketed for 12-month term doesn't mean there's not a possibility there. So if you see a property you like and it says it's only for 12-month term, always reach out to the person advertising it, the management company, and just see if there's any possibility. If like, hey, I want to rent the house for 3 months, can we maybe pay a little extra rent or not? And then they'll take that offer to the owner and see if they want to entertain it or not. So there's always a possibility there.
Jace, what are some other questions?
So some of the questions our owners ask, they're asking about renter's insurance, if it's required or not. Yes, we require renter's insurance, and we also require liability to landlord insurance.
What does that mean?
So that means if the tenant ends up having a bad night, and for example, they punch a bunch of holes in the drywall and then they take off on you, leave you holding the bag. We have an insurance policy we just file a claim with. They pay it out immediately. There's no deductible. And then they decide if they need to go after the tenant or not for recouping those damages, but it protects the homeowner so their property's back to whole.
The repairs are done, the homeowner doesn't come out of pocket, and the insurance company, they can go after the knucklehead if they want to.
Yep, exactly. So it puts you together and they can deal with the rest. That way you can get your property back on the rental market, or if you're doing something different, it's ready to go for you.
Excellent. Have you lived here all your life?
No, I moved here in '99 when I was 17. My dad got stationed at Mountain Home Air Force Base.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you're just about a native here.
Almost.
Almost.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not that old, but it's been a couple years.
It has. My whole adult life's been here.
So what do you think about the growth that we've seen?
That's pretty awesome. Especially being in the real estate industry, I can't complain. Sometimes the traffic is getting bad, but not as bad as other places. Especially when people come here and visit, and I say, "Oh, sorry, the traffic was bad." And they're like, "Oh, you've seen nothing." Like, I guess you're right.
That's probably true. But the people that are coming up here, are you finding that they're fitting in? They're kind of like Idahoans at heart?
Yeah, I feel like we're getting a really good integration here. So we've got a really good mix of people just moving here and continuing to grow this area. And, there's always going to be change, but I hope the heart of Boise just doesn't change, because that's why people are moving here to begin with.
Yeah. And, I've been in a lot of big cities, the downtown areas, and to walk around downtown Boise is really something special. It's clean, it's friendly. I'd go there all day long.
Absolutely.
And I haven't seen it changing in the 12 years that I've been here. So, Jay, just as we're kind of wrapping this up, what's the most important thing that you see people that are looking to buy a house to rent out that they put off? And there's time before and we don't need to wait to the last minute. What is that thing?
Sure. So you ever heard the expression that you earn your money when you buy and you get paid when you sell?
I have.
Kind of the same thing when you're acquiring a rental property. Do your due diligence up front. Get that rent analysis. Make sure the numbers pan out. Make sure you've got a budget for reserves, for capital expenses, for scenarios. I know in old advice, the number might be outdated, but they used to say for every rental property you have, you need $10,000 in the bank for emergencies and expenses. So just before you buy that house, do as much due diligence as you can to make sure the numbers are going to pan out for you in the end.
So, and with some good, thorough due diligence, you can pretty much answer all the questions ahead of time. Maybe you're working with your real estate agent and you find a particular house. You go under contract, you have that inspection period. And during that inspection period, you can have your inspector go out, check the wiring, the plumbing, and things like that. But also, make sure you get a hold of Jay and have that market analysis done to find out, what rents that house could actually go for. Because it might be more than you expect, or on the negative side, it could be less than you're thinking.
Yeah, that'd be a tragedy that could be avoided in the beginning.
Exactly. Let's avoid those tragedies. Jay, thank you so much for stopping by today. It's been a real
Absolutely.
treat.
Thanks, Treasure Valley Dave. Appreciate it.
It's always fun to see you. And you know what? I think we'll have to do lunch again one of these days.
I love it.
Yeah. So if you guys want to know more about what it's like to live right here in the Treasure Valley, make sure you watch this video right here. It's one side. And then we'll see you guys on the next video.